Hey everybody, hello world out there. Welcome to another Stories Inc. LinkedIn learning session. My name is Bernadette Van Giesen and I'm your host. Today we have a really exciting topic, which is how to maximize in-person company events by uncovering stories. And it's my pleasure to be joined by two of my colleagues to talk about this topic, and they do this work day in and day out, and I'm really excited for them to share their perspective here. So welcome to the show, Doyle Maurer. He's our creative director, and Shannon Edwards, one of our wonderful account managers. Hello. How are you doing?
Hello.
Hello. Doing well.
Yeah, doing
Excited.
great.
Do you each want to take like 15 seconds to just quickly introduce yourself and what you do here at Stories Inc.? Shannon, do you want to start?
Sure, I can start. Hi, everyone. My name is Shannon Edwards. I am an account manager at Stories Inc. I've been on the team a little over a year and a half now. I've been all around the world with stories. And most importantly, for this conversation, I've been to a few of these events. So excited to talk about it and share what I've learned.
Yeah,
Over to you.
and thanks. My name is Doyle Maurer. I'm the creative director here at Stories, and I've been on the team for about 7 months. Before that, I was a videographer that worked on a lot of different projects for several years, similar to Shannon, all around the world for different projects, and it's been amazing.
Yes, and I love having both of you on this topic today because I think it's a really good 1-2 punch of Shannon doing a lot of the strategy and the planning and the interviewing and all the work that goes into the content. And then Doyle, you do so much on the creative side of things and really making sure visually, audio, planning for the day from a creative standpoint that everything goes as planned. So I think it'll be two really nice perspectives here. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yes. Awesome. So we can just kind of jump right into our topic. So to kind of set the scene a little bit, here at Stories, uncovering employee stories is what we do best, and we do it in so many ways. So we do it on site where we're interviewing 8 people in a day, virtually using our virtual story session kits. We go into storytellers' homes, really any way to uncover it we can do. But today, talking about a filming style that has always existed, but we are seeing grow in popularity and effectiveness, I think, in the last couple years, especially in the rise of remote and hybrid work. And that is taking advantage of in-person company events to capture employee story content. So that's enough of me talking there. But can you all kind of introduce us to this idea of event-based storytelling days and why it's such a smart employer brand strategy for organizations?
Yeah, I think it'd be good to ground us. So, first, let's talk about what is a dynamic event. So, these are employee storytelling days that are scheduled usually in tangent with a pre planned event. So, employer brand or internal comms, our leaders are coming to us and saying, hey, we have this all hands on deck. We actually have everyone in the office, let's utilize this time and taking advantage of everyone being together. So what it looks like is while you're having events going on in different rooms or breakouts or whatever you're having, we have a separate area where we're interviewing employees who are attending events to uncover their stories. It also gives us time to, get footage of the actual event, whether that's speakers, games, or breakout sessions. We're able to gather content there as well.
Mm-hmm. I think you kind of alluded to there's a lot of flexibility that comes to this, and we're going to talk through kind of like the different scenarios and how they might play out throughout this conversation. But great overview there, Shannon. So why is this something that we're seeing grow in popularity and is such kind of like an important strategy that's emerging right now?
Yeah, and I can kind of jump in on this one. So one of the big things about the dynamic event coverage is it's based on the way the market is right now with how we work. So, not long ago, in a time that feels kind of far away, the majority of us used to work in an office together. But as of a few years ago, things changed dramatically. So this approach to storytelling is a response to that changing landscape of how people work and how they connect with each other. More and more companies are hosting these events. So there's all hands and retreats and any other kind of event where your employees are getting together in one place. And this is a way to supplement the remote work and hybrid work environment. I think more than ever, it's important to capitalize on that time we have together with our coworkers because we have it less often. And that's where this idea of employee storytelling during an event comes into play. So when we spend less time in person, these are the opportunities to make engaging and visually interesting content that kind of really highlights our teams.
Yep. Yeah. No, totally agree with everything you said. And I think it's like companies have always been doing this, of having kickoff meetings and all hands, but I think there's really a re-energized kind of focus around these events, because as you said, these are the opportunities where people are coming together and a lot of work goes into them. This is where like the culture building happens, the team building happens, that there's a lot of that energy coming into these events, that it's like, why not capitalize on this fantastic energy and uncover those stories?
Yeah, I want to jump in there real quick and just like reiterate, the energy is so much different, especially when you're not seeing people like every week, every month, even sometimes. You always get people at a very high point, and that's always nice to capture in film or on camera.
Mhm. So once these events actually happen, what are the types of content that is coming out of it? So you have the event, separate area, you're conducting employee interviews. What types of content are we delivering to clients here?
Yeah, so I can jump in on this one real quick. The first thing that comes to mind is video. That's kind of our main bread and butter. Because when you have everybody together, you can kind of capture those stories with that energy while everyone's in one place. So that can look like videos that are driven by the employee stories. You can have short form videos for social media. You can make long form videos for your website, your careers page. And then from those long form videos, everything can be kind of repurposed or cut down into shorter versions. So really, anything you can kind of imagine is possible from these. You could imagine recording presentations at the same time as having another room where people are being interviewed, or breakout sessions. So there's just a lot of variety in the video content.
Yeah, and piggybacking off that, in the content, you also have this audio, which you're able to use sound bites for different. You could just use the sound bite and not the video for different social posts. You can pull different quotes and just use that as copy for whatever you have going on. So that's another great way to utilize that. We also do photography, so that's a whole nother element to the day of just even catching live action, whatever you're doing, but we can also do headshots and things like that.
Yeah, and I think especially taking advantage of everyone being in person. And then I know I personally can relate to this, that as we started to go back and do these events in 2022, it's like my headshot and then a lot of our marketing photos and things like that were from like 2019. It's like I'm like a totally different person now. This photo library has gotten stale. So it's like while everyone's there, it is a really nice time to take advantage of that and capture the photos. And our team actually did this recently, and I'm going to share a couple photos as the outcome. But the Stories Inc. team, we got together for our all hands in July, and we always take advantage of that time to refresh our photo library. So I grabbed 3 photos, one kind of each of us to show the different variety. So here's a photo of me, but kind of like a working shot, portrait. You could see how this could turn into a really great social graphic where you could maybe put one of those quotes over to the side. And then you have some group shots. So getting different teams together. These are 3 members of our account and creative team. So that also shows that team experience in addition to our culture. And then.
And Bernadette, if I could jump in on this photo real quick.
Yeah.
These are 3 people that we might not have any other opportunity throughout the year to have a photo of together. So it's just really cool that we got to capture that because they work together. They just don't get to see each other a whole lot. So it's great.
Yeah. And then Doyle, there you are in the mix there. So just, different photo combinations, different use cases, but just really taking advantage of those in-person opportunities. I think photo is a huge opportunity to take advantage for these events. Okay, awesome. So now that we've talked a little bit what dynamic event coverage is and the types of content that you can create from them, let's talk about actually planning it. So a lot of work goes into the events on their own, and then a lot of work goes into planning employee storytelling filming days. So then let's put the two together and how do we create these event-focused filming days? Shannon, do you want to kind of tell us kind of like the first tip?
Yeah, of course. And the first one may seem obvious, but you have to pick your event. You have to know what events are going on because that's sometimes an issue too. Um, but the events are endless, we're open to anything. You can film at any of yours that will gather content. So examples of this: all hands company meetings, sales kickoff call or kickoff meetings, leadership meetings, company conferences, DEI summits, intern or early careers events. Again, it's endless. As you identify the event, it's super important that you're in contact with the person or people running this event. So sometimes it is the team we're working closely with, other times it's not. So just making sure that you're aligned with them. They're going to be such an important resource as you move forward and figure out how we can be most efficient in the schedule for the day. So for example, maybe we don't want to take anyone out of this special speaker who's coming in, so we'll work around that. We work around that, and making sure that people are able to attend the moments that they want or need to attend, and taking them away to do their interview at a separate time. Yeah, so just really being in contact through and through, and really working closely with teams to making sure everything's running smoothly.
And I also think, I mean, that partnership piece is so important for the efficiency of the event. And then also, I think it's a really good opportunity to combine budget and really just also be efficient in your planning for the year. So if you do have that DEI summit where you're bringing leaders in, or maybe active members of your ERGs or something like that, and then you are able to kind of combine that budget and then capture photos, uncover employee stories that are then able to communicate that throughout the year. It's really just acting smart and making the most of that opportunities instead of doing two different things. I feel like often see people cost share and make the most of the opportunity that way too. So those relationship pieces are really important.
Yeah, and you all are using one of my favorite words, efficiency, like when it comes to content, just because so many companies need content consistently that it's important to find efficient ways to do it, that you can have something to post all the time versus once a year for the Super Bowl or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then Shannon, just to jump on also, when you listed all the different types of events, I think when you really start looking at your organization, there are a lot of stuff happening. And someone on my kind of like LinkedIn network, they uncover stories a lot at like monthly employee of the month meetings. And it's like that's an organization where it's like very store focused, and every month the store has a meeting and they identify and celebrate an employee of the month. And it's like that's the time where they go in and they are interviewing people on covering employee stories. So it's like you can really find these pockets a lot throughout the year to take advantage of. Okay, so that's a great tip when you're planning your event. Obvious but important step: pick your event to film at. What else do people need to think about?
Yeah. So, when you're thinking about planning this event, there's already a schedule that kind of exists, which we've talked about, and you can work within that. But another piece is, and this is true for any filming project we do, it's important to identify the objective of the content you're trying to create. So one of my kind of golden rules is like, don't create anything unless you kind of have a plan, because what happens is you can kind of get in the middle of it and then you have this question of like, what are we even making? So having an idea of the content's purpose helps you better plan your interview questions, how you prep any storytellers that are part of the interviews, and then also just, being efficient with how you're filming and what you're filming. So we may be filming in tandem with an event like a sales kickoff, for example, but that doesn't necessarily mean the interviews need to focus on the sales experience. You might be looking to create a series of videos around core values in action or internal mobility, and the event's an opportunity to uncover those other stories from the sales team while they're all together for this different purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just to summarize it, I guess like we always go in with a plan, and then you can kind of take a journalistic approach to tie that plan with a little bit of flexibility, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And it's like, of course, you could also, in a sales kickoff, your goal is to go in and talk about the sales experience. Like, absolutely, the topic of the content can match the topic of the event that you're working with. But I think that's a really great example just to be open-minded to the possibilities of, hey, this is just an opportunity where people are together. What content do we need to uncover? And then how can this work together? So so going in with just kind of a general idea of what type of content you want to create.
Yeah, and maybe like thinking critically about what other expertise do these people have that we might be able to tap into. Like just because they're focused on sales, they might be an amazing leader and can talk about leadership and values and that kind of thing too. So
Oh, I love that. So I think that's really great advice there. Can we kind of dive into that a little bit and see what types of content are people creating at these events? I know we've have kind of, a wide variety of clients that we've worked with and things that we've seen out in the wild. So can you kind of give some examples of ways that people are actually executing this strategy?
Yeah, for sure. And I know we have some examples kind of in mind to share. The first one is with a company called Viget that was having a company retreat in Colorado. I think they had around 100 employees get together. They went to a ranch out in the mountains, and it was just a way for everybody to connect for a few days. And they realized, like, same thing we're talking about. We've got everybody together. We work remotely a lot of times. So let's get as much photo and video content as we can. So we went in and kind of did some interviews and did a hybrid of culture and kind of just highlighting the event itself, which was really fun to be part of.
Yes, I love that example. I have it queued up here. It's a rather long video, and we'll link to the whole thing in the comments, but we're going to show the first 45 or so seconds here.
The environment of being here at CWU with the people that are here, I think has made it relaxed and easy to talk to people and develop those relationships. Whether that's with s'mores around the campfire, or going horseback riding, or watching the morning jingle as 200 horses run past you. It has just been a really peaceful and healing and encouraging space to be around each other.
It was overwhelming in a positive way when I first got here and started talking to everyone and seeing everyone, being able to hug everyone after like close to 2 years of not seeing anyone in person. While I'm bummed that, there is a subset of bigots that couldn't make it to the event, it's been so wonderful to be able to just remember what in-person connection feels like.
Okay, I'll cut her off there. But such a beautiful video, and I think even just the music and the scenery, everything really sets the scene. But it also shows the impact of these kind of events. So you can see how it could be shared internally to kind of keep the event continuing on internally, but then also externally to candidates to show, this is a way we collaborate. This is a way that we bring the team together. So I think there's a lot of really powerful messages in that video.
Yeah, and one other thing, Bernadette, I know that's a really long video. We only watched the first minute, but there's probably 10 to 20 different videos that could be cut from that one throughout the whole thing. So just another efficiency moment, but yeah.
Good tip. So that's one example of types of content that companies are creating around events. This one very much like aligning the content to the event and really like bringing the two together. Shannon, do you have a second example?
Yeah. The one that comes to my mind is a financial service company who we've worked with for a few different times, but they held an intern networking event. So they had us come along. There was speakers, there was games. We had the interns or early career people in a different location doing different exercises with them. It was really fun. I don't know if it was as fun as being on a ranch in Colorado, but I had a really great time. And it's always fun to work with young people and out there.
Yeah, and those videos turned out so great. And I think, that one, we kind of spoke to this earlier, but it's like when you have an event, in this case, it was early career and interns, people are bringing all that energy in, and they're coming in and they're reflecting on, what they've learned throughout their internship. They're doing team building stuff. They're meeting with leaders. They're really like experiencing the culture while they're there. And so I think a lot of those stories come a little faster, even when you're interviewing folks, because everything is just like really fresh and top of mind. So
Definitely.
Yeah, and at the beginning of the call, you mentioned that it was fun to have Shannon and me here at the same time because like accounts and creativity, and that project was definitely one where we got to combine those in real time together, and it was super fun to work together on that.
Yeah, totally. So that's another example of kind of focusing on a specific talent group. And then the topic of the video is reflecting the nature of the event. Is there a third example of ways we've done this?
Yeah. Just last week, I guess, we were on site for a client, and it was a leadership conference. So everybody flew to the Northeast, all came to the same building together in Maine, and had team building exercises and talked about leadership and how to conduct work on their teams. And while all the leaders were together, which also doesn't happen very often, we were able to conduct some interviews and get some really great sound bites that hit on multiple topics. And at the same time, we got photos of their event, videos of people like building bridges together with like dowel rods and things like that. So just a lot of variety and a little more interesting than, sometimes being in an office. So it was cool.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, Shannon, you probably know this even more than I do, but it's like a lot of times when you speak to people and they want to do leadership focused content, it's like, it's so busy, it's hard to get on their calendars, like there is that kind of barrier to entry sometimes with getting all those people in the same place, understandably so. So I think, if you've already done the work to organize this event to get them all there, it really is a no-brainer.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So that is a lot of the stuff we have prepared for today, but I think we were able to cover a lot. So to kind of quickly summarize, how to maximize your in-person events by uncovering employee stories. So really taking advantage of those in-person opportunities to also uncover content, create photos, create videos, get those sound clips to be able to fuel your blog posts for a long time. There's just so much you can uncover during that time. And then tips for planning your content. So whether it's really focused on the event like Viget, or you're just using that opportunity to have those people together and uncover stories that represent your core values and other culture elements, there's really a lot that you can do. Any final thoughts, takeaways, thoughts that you want to leave the audience with, Doyle or Shannon?
Yeah, if I could jump in real quick, Shannon, I just have a few things that come to mind. I guess the main takeaways for me from this kind of filming are everybody has heard we need to post consistently. You need a variety of content. Don't use stock, that kind of thing. So posting consistently is a need. And the shelf life of content is shorter than ever. So whereas in the past you might have, say, like a TV ad that runs for months on people's televisions at home, now that same kind of content lives for maybe a couple weeks on social media before it kind of ages out, and it needs to be updated sometimes, depending on what you're making. So between the shelf life of content, needing to post consistently, I just think this is one of the best and most efficient ways to create libraries of content when you've got everybody in one place together. And that kind of lines up with everything we've talked about, just being efficient and creative and kind of going in strategically. So it excites me.
And, piggybacking off of that, it's such a missed opportunity if you don't have anything, right? Like, say you don't have budget for a film crew. Okay, fine. Make sure you have your phone out. Make sure you're getting content somehow so you're able to do exactly what Doyle said, like getting stuff for your social, for, whether that's LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever you're posting. Super important. And then I guess just another final thought from me is, being flexible is important for anything we do in life, right? But I think especially during these events, because, you know, event schedules change fast, or, you know, someone doesn't show up, or, you know, so just being able, going into the day knowing that, hey, it might get shaken up a little bit, but it's all going to be okay. We're going to get the content, and keep it moving. So those are my final thoughts, takeaways.
Awesome.
Keep it moving. I think that's the slogan for the whole idea.
Really.
I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. If anyone has any questions out there about dynamic event coverage or anything about Stories Inc., please reach out. And we do these short LinkedIn learning sessions every other Thursday here on our channel. So follow, and we hope to see you next time. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
See you guys.